PIX11 is your local election headquarters. The months of campaigning and debates all come down to today, Election Day, and we've been tracking the races every step of the way.
New Yorkers will elect a new mayor today, while in New Jersey, a new governor will be decided. And here with a closer look at voter turnout and the impact of different voting blocks on these two key races is political strategist Trip Yang. Trip, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Good morning. It's great to be back here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we know that early voter turnout was high in both New York and New Jersey. Break it down by party for us, if you
Yeah,
could.
absolutely. So this is a very critical election year for both sides of the Hudson River. I've done a lot of campaigns in both areas. Look, here in New York City, over 700,000 New Yorkers have actually cast their early votes already. We are looking at a scenario where we could get close to 2 million New Yorkers casting their ballots in the general election, which would be one of the highest voter turnouts in decades here in New York City. Of course, Zohran Mamdani, the heavy front runner, I would say he's ahead by 2 touchdowns in the final minute of the game. And look, Andrew Cuomo is making his last-ditch effort. Trump has recently endorsed him. However, here in New York City, Trump's approval rating is probably minus 50, meaning the Boston Red Sox might be more popular in this town than Donald Trump. So I don't know how much that helps Cuomo. I believe Mamdani will have an historic victory tonight.
Well, the younger voters, they were a big determining factor in the primaries for Zohran Mamdani.
Yes.
And they came out in droves over the weekend for early voting as well. I mean, so do you feel like they will have as much of a determining factor in
It certainly will have a big impact. Look, a general election electorate in New York City is a little bit older, a little bit more moderate, a little bit more homeowner friendly. You have a little bit more impact in neighborhoods such as Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, Bayside, Queens, right? A different type of New York City. However, early voting was very favorable in the last 7 days to Mamdani. In the first 2 days of early vote, it was actually voters over the age of 55 were the majority of the New York City electorate. Those first 2 days of early vote were good signs for Cuomo, but the last 7 days of early vote was great for Mamdani, youth voters. A lot of neighborhoods like Astoria, Queens, Greenpoint, Brooklyn, young progressive areas, they turn out in droves.
Now, you said that Cuomo had a lock on the, well, not a lock, but he had strong support among the 65 and plus. Was that still the case in early voting?
Yeah. So in the primary, there were certain electorates that Cuomo did very well in. Certainly 65 and older, he did extremely well in, as well as 55 and older. Here in the general election, with senior voters, for the most part, Cuomo retains his advantages. However, the scenario is different because in the general election now, Mamdani's no longer the plucky insurgent upstart. He's the Democratic nominee, which means the vast majority of Democratic voters automatically are used to voting for a Democratic nominee. And I'll say this, if you look at early vote numbers here in New York City, around 70% of early votes cast in New York City came from registered Democrats. That's a great sign for Mamdani. If Andrew Cuomo has any shot at winning, he really needs to win these Republican voters, independent voters, and I'll say he's really got to run up the score with senior voters. He also has to, quite frankly, make sure that he wins black voters, which were a stronghold for him in the primary, but he's looking shaky with that key constituency here in the general election.
And it'll be interesting to see if President Trump's endorsement of Cuomo will make an effect today.
Yeah. Look, I think Cuomo, at this point, he has to throw a lot of things at the wall, throw a lot of haymakers, see what lands. He really needs to win the majority of Republicans. So at this point, I understand the logic of why he was, should we say, looking for a Donald Trump endorsement. But again, in this city, which is overwhelmingly Democratic, does not like Trump, I don't know how much it helps him.
Yeah. Can we break it down a little bit further, though, when we look at the voting block here? Zohran Mamdani, the first Muslim to be running for mayor, also the first Southeast Asian. How has this resonated with the Asian American Pacific Islander vote?
So the AAPI community, which is 18% and the fastest growing demographic in New York, myself professionally have a lot of experience working with this community here in New York. I would just say, if you look at South Asians and Muslim Americans, many of these neighborhoods had huge turnout for Mamdani, both in the primary and in the general. We're talking neighborhoods like Richmond Hill, Queens, Kensington, Brooklyn, Parkchester, and the Bronx. Zohran Mamdani would be very historic. First ever South Asian, first ever Indian American, first ever Muslim mayor. East Asian, on the other hand, Chinese American, Korean American, they were a toss-up battleground in the primary election. Many of these neighborhoods, Sunset Park, Brooklyn, Flushing, Queens, Manhattan, Chinatown, some of these places, Mamdani won by a small margin. in the general election, I expect East Asian voters to once again be a pivotal battleground.
All right, let's go across the Hudson here. Jack Ciattarelli, Mikey Sherrill, still too close to call leading up to Election Day. What block of voters is actually going to decide this one?
Yeah, so the New Jersey governor's race is extremely compelling. There have already been over 1.3 million votes cast in New Jersey, both from early vote as well as returned vote by mail. So we're looking at huge turnout. Of course, this year's governor's race is projected at over $200 million in total spending, the highest ever for a New Jersey governor's race. Last time in 2021, Ciattarelli overperformed expectations, came 3 points of beating incumbent governor Phil Murphy at the time. That year was 2.6 million New Jerseyans turn out to vote. I believe we'll see north of 3 million because of the increased interest. To answer your question directly, what I think is going to happen here is that you look at a couple of these swing bellwether counties in New Jersey. We're talking Bergen County, huge population, Middlesex County in Central Jersey, huge population. These two counties have more registered Democrats and Republicans, but when Republicans have done well in governor's races, such as when Chris Christie won, he actually carried both of those counties. So these suburban-esque counties with a lot of independent swing voters, they're going to be key to deciding this governor's race.
All right, and before we let you go, we need to talk about the New Jersey City mayor's race right now. That's a close one. We have former Governor McGreevey in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Jersey City is a great place. Some would say it's the sixth borough of New York City. I've spent some time living in Jersey City, really the economic engine of New Jersey in many respects. It is a three-way race. There are three candidates, one of them, as you said, former Governor McGreevey, who are really in serious contention. A lot of LGBT groups have endorsed former Governor McGreevey, whether it's Garden State Equality in New Jersey or the National LGBTQ Victory Alliance. They have endorsed McGreevey. You know, Jim Sullivan is a very strong council member. He represents Ward E, downtown Jersey City. And of course, there's a longtime freeholder on the ballot as well. It's going to be a very contested race in Jersey City.
All right. Trip, always great to see you. Thanks for coming in and laying it all out for us. It's going to be
Pleasure's always mine.
a long night. All right.